In the UK system, as I say, the money comes from central government to a local body that buys the healthcare for a population. So this local body doesn't provide any health services. What it does is it buys the healthcare that the people in that area need. That includes buying hospital services. And the way that works is that for every treatment that the hospital can provide, say a hip replacement or treatment for a lung disease, respiratory disease, treatment for diabetes, each treatment has an associated cost. They call it the tariff. So when a person goes into hospital and has a treatment, or goes to another healthcare provider and has a treatment, that treatment will have an associated cost. And then the purchasing organisation, the commissioning organisation, will pay the provider organisation. So healthcare is split into commissioners, which is the body that receives the money from the government, and the providers, that the people who provide healthcare. To date, most of the providers have also been part of the NHS, the National Health Service. So it's an internal market within the National Health Service. The money moves around within the system. There's always been some movement of money out to private providers, private organisations and private healthcare companies, but most of the money has stayed within the National Health Service and has gone round within the system. So the money comes from government to the local commissioning organisation, that then buys the healthcare for the population from other bits of the National Health Service. That's changing and increase more and more. The people who are being paid to provide the services are private healthcare companies. Private companies as opposed to government providers. So there's a movement from, the money is now coming from the government to the commissioning organisation, and that commissioning organisation is then buying the healthcare from a wider range of people providing healthcare. And that commissioner-provider split for the last 10 or 12 years has been central to how the National Health Service works. You have one organisation that buys the healthcare, and then a number of other organisations that provide it. And as I say, just about every possible treatment somebody could have, every healthcare treatment somebody could have, has got an associated tariff, an associated cost, which is at the moment is a national figure. So it costs exactly the same wherever it is. So if a private company wants to provide treatments for the NHS, they know exactly how much they will get paid from the NHS. There is a move to change that, in that the amount paid for treatments will be different for different providers, but that's part of the current changes to the health service. So that's, that is different from a lot of other areas. Certainly different from Korea, where in Korea people are responsible for buying their own healthcare. In America, if you've got an illness and you need to see a doctor, you pay for it. In England, if you have an illness and you need to see a doctor, you see the doctor, but then that's paid for by your local commissioning organisation. You never have to pay for it. So it's a very different way of seeing it. It's a very different model to a private healthcare system. I was in the United States last year, and the people from the United States came over to see us a few weeks ago, and the biggest difference we found was this thing that in the United States, nobody in government has responsibility for making sure people have health care. In England, there is a local government body that is responsible for ensuring everybody has access to healthcare and everybody can get access to healthcare without having to pay for it. I hope that makes sense.
Is it